You're listening to Power Talks with Beth Ann and Melody Cedarstrom in the morning, where talk is real. There is truth in talk. We're bringing the truth as best we can, and there is power in the truth. And we believe Power Talks and truth sets you free. Welcome to Power Talks this morning. How are you doing this morning, Melody?
I'm just doing fantastic this morning.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. It's Thursday. And it's
Throwback Thursday, as they say.
It's actually a little warmer this morning than it was yesterday, so I'm very appreciative of that. Mm-hmm. And so we're getting that Arctic blast is supposed to be coming in tomorrow, but for now I will take the warmth here on the eastern shore of Maryland. So
it's a little chilly here this morning, but it's supposed to get up, I think it's set to 50 today sometime, so that's not too bad for November.
Well, we get that the lows of the 20s, 24 and 29 tomorrow and Saturday, so for the lows.
We were in like 28 the other morning.
Yeah, you're sending
getting there.
You're sending it over to me.
Well, I do like to share.
Yeah.
I'm experiencing climate change in Missouri, and I'm not really happy about it. And it ain't global warming either. I don't know what happened to me. You know, I'm born in the Midwest, and, you know, I'm not a cold weather person. Never have been. Not even when I was little. If I got cold, I cried. But I did play out in the snow, and it could have been my big brother who used to catch me and put my face in the snow and hold it there. Might have had something to do with it. Frostbite on my cheeks.
Well, I know Monsanto. I mean, you on your your Common Sense Coalition radio program, you do a lot of, and you did with Derry Brownfield, a lot with the farmers. And I came across this Monsanto. In October, they sued the Arkansas State Plant Board following the board's decision to bar Monsanto's new herbicide and propose tougher restrictions on similar weed killers ahead of the 2018 growing season. Now, this herbicide that they are having a problem with is dicamba. And that is part of more than $1 billion investment. And it pairs it with the new genetically engineered seeds that are resistant to the spray. Farmers say their non-resistant crops suffered after neighbors' dicamba drifted onto their land. So, the Monsanto farmers are spraying, and the wind. It's supposed to once it
does carry. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it also creates a mist also that flows over to the neighboring farmer, and it damages his crops. Arkansas has been a flashpoint in this dispute. About 900,000 acres of crops were reported damaged there, more than in any other state. About 300 farmers, crop scientists, and other attendees gathered at Little Rock on Wednesday for a hearing on Arkansas's proposed stiffer dicamba controls, which Monsanto and some farmers are fighting. Farmers in 25 states submitted more than 2,700 claims to state agricultural agencies that neighbors the dicamba spraying fields. It shriveled 3.6 million acres of soybeans. And the herbicide is also blamed for damaging other crops such as cantaloupe and pumpkins. The complaints have farmers and agricultural researchers trying to figure out how to avoid more collateral damage ahead of next summer. Some other states besides Arkansas include Minnesota, South Dakota, North Dakota, Tennessee, and Indiana. They're all discussing additional limits and training requirements for the farmers spraying the
dicamba.
The dicamba.
This has been going on, this battle, not necessarily with this particular herbicide, but with the other things and with their GMO seed. Monsanto is a nasty company.
Very much.
That's another reason CSC Talk Radio has trouble surviving, because corporate ag isn't going to sponsor the show that tries to expose these things. And like we said off air, my mentor, Derry Brownfield, who I worked for 15 years, he was definitely affected by Monsanto. And they did not like what he was saying on the air, and they were trying to get him off the air, and they were almost successful, almost. But we kept him going as best we could, but it cost him. It cost him dearly, and I was the only one that stayed there with him. So it was, I just couldn't leave, I just couldn't leave because of what they were doing to him. They offered me a job. They actually offered me a job to try and get me away from him and to try and get him off the air. I wouldn't take it. I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I wouldn't even expect somebody to do that. But it's Monsanto. No, Monsanto didn't offer me a job. It was the communication company that Derry was working, where he was actually a partner with at one time. But it's an attack on the farmers, particularly the organic farmers that are trying to raise the organic product. And if this flies or wafts over, blows onto their fields, then they can no longer claim that it's organic. So it hurts their industry. And when it was the GMO seeds, and you had the cross-pollination from across the road, the farmer that was on one side of the gravel road to the farmer that was on the other side, Monsanto would claim that you had their product. So they're just a nasty company that can't seem to get enough. I don't know. But I'm excited that Arkansas is suing them. But did I hear that they had lost that lawsuit, that Monsanto won it?
Well, no. I mean, it's just now going into court.
It's just now going on. I thought I'd heard something.
Yeah. And it's Monsanto. Well, that Monsanto is suing the Arkansas State Board, following, because the board has made the decision to bar them, to bar their new herbicide. And they also proposed tougher restrictions, so Monsanto is going in there trying to sue them to get that reversed. But, I mean, it's an incredible, I don't know, in the farmer world, when we're talking about 900,000 acres of crops being reported damaged, just in Arkansas alone, I don't know if that's a lot of acreage for farmland in Arkansas or not, but it seems like it would be quite a bit, almost, 1 million acres of crops.
Well, if it's your crop, it's a lot. If it's your crop that's getting damaged, whether it's 5 acres or 500 acres, it's a lot of, it's your profit. Absolutely. And, so that's, I'm kind of excited that Arkansas has taken that stand. And you said Minnesota as well and some other states? There
are also some other states that are beginning to make decisions as far as this herbicide.
We have wondered a long time ago why nothing ever happens here in the United States about Monsanto when in other countries they're banned. So it's been kind of a... We know they have an in with the government. They have lobbyists. They have somebody in there getting paid for something, and the illustrious senator from Missouri put in the one farm bill. He gave the Monsanto a little break there. Nothing that was ever done against Monsanto could be held against them or something like that. It wasn't with the wording, but it was in one of the farm bills. And it's like, seriously, I wonder how much you got paid to do that. And people just accept this stuff, Melody. We are finding out so much corruption. It just goes so deep. This tax reform. All these guys that were for it are now against it because they keep monkeying with it, and it gets less and less and less of a reform and less for the people. The corruption and the lobbying, they're all afraid that, I wonder how deep they're in, if it's like a mafia, and if they give in to the American people or give in to the president on tax reform, are the lobbyists or whoever these lobbyists work for, are they going to come after them? I mean, how deep are they in that they can't represent the American people? How deep is Monsanto into D.C. and state politics that they keep protecting them? And, the corruption is just so bad. Everybody is so greedy, Melody. It's just crazy. But what had happened with Derry Brownfield and he wasn't ever allowed to talk about it, but I did not sign any kind of a waiver. But what happened with Derry Brownfield was he had told what they were doing with their GMO seed and how they were, they had their Gestapos checking on farmers because you couldn't save your seed to plant it the next year. It wasn't yours, it's Monsanto's. And so they went to where they were cleaning the grain in an area here in mid-Missouri, and they were checking up on these farmers, and they wanted to know who was cleaning the grain, who they were cleaning the grain for, and blah, blah, blah. Well, Derry was, and this article came out in Vanity Fair, and Derry Brownfield and Fred Stokes were talking about it on the air, and that day, his one-time partner came into Derry's office and said, "You got to quit talking about this." And Derry tells him, he said, "But they're a bad company. They're evil. What they're doing is wrong. What they're doing to the farmers is wrong." He said, "Well, you got to quit talking about it." And then they come back and they say, "You got 30 days to leave." Because Monsanto had told that company, that communication company, "We're pulling every bit of our money out if you don't get rid of Derry Brownfield." And in 30 days, he was gone. So, 30 days, we had to find some place to go. So that's the company.
Money talks. Money talks.
Money talks. It does. Money talks. And I don't really begrudge them. That was a lot of people's salary. They were between a rock and a hard place. But when do you stand up and do the right thing?
And but yeah, I mean, you mentioned tax cuts. Today, the state Republican is supposed to release their version of the tax reform, supposedly, and they're looking to eliminate property tax deductions, delay the corporate cut, and so forth. And I'm thinking to myself, wouldn't you think? I don't know if it's. I don't know. It's just like the House Republicans just push something ahead just to get patted on the back like they've done something. Then it gets to the Senate, and it's just like they change everything, and then nothing gets done. And it's just like, the whole it's just so they're not sure.
It was at one point $4,000 that everybody was going to get, and now it's down to $1,200. By the time they get done, we're going to be owing more again. It's unreal, but who is lobbying? Who is holding what over the heads of these people that they cannot represent the American people or do what the president said? Give the middle-class Americans a break. Why can't they do that?
They can't give them it because we owe too much money. We're in debt. You can't do this when you're in so much. They can't find the revenue for it. That's why there's no revenue for it. And again, we're going to default on our debt because there's no money. We can't pay for it. It can't be paid. Our debt cannot be paid. Cycle. And it is, and so they rearrange this and rearrange that. But what's $1,200 going to do for the family of four out there? Not a whole lot.
Divide that by 4 and divide that by 12.
Yeah,
and that's how much each individual will be getting per month.
Yeah.
And it isn't much.
No, so and it really is. They talk about these are just tax cuts for the rich and so forth. Well, even some of the extreme wealthy, but they always have their loopholes and they always have their abilities and to put their money offshore and all this. So they're always protected from the
or their business
changes in taxes
for what they
and so
pay.
forth. So I'm talking about the ultra rich, and they benefit from the death tax that would be eliminated, and so that's where they're going to benefit from, and so forth. And if they do repatriate some of that money back, but I hear music and
there it comes. I just say I didn't hear it. We messed up yesterday when we went off the air. I never heard the music. We are going into a break. We're opening up the phone lines. I have a couple of funny things I want to share that I read on Twitter last night. If you'll let me, it'll be kind of comical. We'll do that when we come back. The number to call to visit with us is 717-300-1218, 717-300-1218. You're listening to Power Talk with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning. We'll be back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. Global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually. There is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. That's crosstheborder.org.
I know you all want answers, and believe me, so do I, and I'll do my best to get them.
Despite Nicolas Cage's promise to do his best to get left behind rapture answers for us, don't hold your breath. Not everyone believes Left Behind is true prophecy. Some may even regard as conspiratorial the mainstream re-release of the Left Behind movie with actor Nicolas Cage portraying the main character as an attempt to further reinforce in the minds of all this perception of false prophecy, in order to condition the masses for the play about to begin. If you want true Bible prophecy answers, get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. The author exposes the Latin rapture origin, the 7-year tribulation deception, true Bible revelation of Daniel's 70 weeks, the abomination of desolation, the restrainer, America in the Revelation, the image of the beast and the mark of the beast, and the truth about God's chosen people, and so much more about Bible prophecy. This book will shatter the Left Behind paradigm of future events. Get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. That's crosstheborder.org.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
And we have returned. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning. We do have a caller. We have Faith in Michigan. Faith, how are you today?
I'm good.
Good morning.
I love your name, too, by the way.
Thank you.
What's on your mind?
Well, I was just thinking, and I noticed that recently evolution is really becoming the major worldview all over America in schools, businesses, and even churches. And I stumbled across something recently that was designed to really encourage people to stand up for the Bible and the values America is founded on. And it's called, the movie is called Genesis, Paradise Lost. It's showing in the theaters all over America in 2D, 3D, and normally. And it's showing on November 13th and 16th.
Hasn't that one gone around before?
I don't think so. This one's pretty new.
Okay. Say it again. It's Genesis what?
Genesis, Paradise Lost.
Paradise Lost. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to look for it. I don't recall. That sounds familiar, like it's been around before, but maybe I'm thinking of another one. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, this one is just coming out for the first time.
Okay. And it's against evolution, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it's teaching the Christian worldview and the values that America was really founded on.
Promoting creation. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for letting us know about it.
Yeah, thanks for your show.
Are you a first-time caller?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you
very much, Faith.
Yes.
We appreciate it. God bless you.
Yeah, if you want to, you can go to the website.
Okay, and it would be
GenesisMovie.com.
GenesisMovie.com?
You can reserve tickets there, watch the trailer, and you can find out if there's a theater near you showing it.
Okay, we will do that. We will do that. Thank you, Faith. Appreciate that.
Okay, thank you for your show.
Right, thank you. God bless you. That's always fun to get a new caller, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is exciting.
It is. And let's see. You mentioned something about property rights, and I don't know if we were in the break when you mentioned that, or if we were just getting ready to go into the break. But and I had some little funny things I wanted to share. But let's do the property rights first. This is how America looks at things. People have lost that spirit of independence, Melody. We talk, about big government versus independence, and we're back to that. We're back to the same fight the Founding Fathers had. But this is about Senator Paul and the attack that he had on his person there from his neighbor. But this is another neighbor. It says the developer Jim Skaggs also told the Louisville Courier-Journal that Paul was probably the hardest person to encourage to follow the regulations of anyone out here because he has, are you ready for this? He has a strong belief in property rights. They say that like it's something filthy and dirty and disgusting. And it's like, I know, I've got a girlfriend who her mother is elderly, and she lives with her mom right now. And they bought a house, and it's in this little area that's regulated. And they're only allowed to do certain things. And they wanted to put a deck on the back, and they had it all drawn out and everything, and they told them no, they couldn't do it. And my girlfriend says, but the neighbor had one. But they did it before they got permission, so they got away with it. But they won't let them do this. It's all regulated. Well, when you get into these little communities like that, what do they call them? Gated communities? I don't know what they call them. Anyway, that you can't, you have to put out a certain kind of flower. You have to put out a certain kind of grass. You have to keep it mowed a certain length of time. I mean, property rights, as if it was something bad. And I know you said you had something on that, but I just wanted to bring that because, I'm ignoring I'm not really ignoring it, but I didn't really want to get into the attack. But the fact that they say he doesn't want to follow the regulations because he believes so strongly in property rights. It's like that's a bad thing. Well, he probably ought to move out of that community if he's not going to follow their rules and regulations. But you had something on property rights, and I
Well, I agree, and I agree with you. People, people should be able to do what they want with, but we don't own our land anymore. We're just serfs. We're just a, And no, I was just talking about how the taxes, they may be delayed and so forth, and it's just so we really don't know what type of tax reform we're actually going to get, but I kind of. But when you do move into these properties and so forth, again, lots of things are grandfathered in. But if you move into one of those communities to where, you should read their little laws before you move in there, and then when when you do move in there and you want to do something, and then all of a sudden you are told that you can't, and then you're unhappy and so forth. So always make sure if you're moving into one of those communities that you read the bylaws. And they've got so much power. These homeowners association.
That's what it is.
They can foreclose on your home.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. You miss 2 payments to your homeowners association, they can foreclose on you.
Well, some of these little associations, as you call them, they even tell you what kind of lights you can put up at Christmas. They've got everything regulated because it all has to look the same and balanced and beautiful. And it's like, gee, mini Christmas, whatever happened to having a little individuality and artistic ability? I have a problem sometimes. I see both sides of it when you've got a community, and we've had that here. And somebody's let things go, and they've got their grass like 3 foot high, and they've got a bunch of garbage and clutter and everything in their in their yard, not keeping things kept up, and the city will give them X amount of days to get it cleaned up, you know. Mm-hmm. On one hand, they have the right to be the messy people they want to be. On the other hand, you do have a responsibility to your neighbors. So you got to kind of balance that out. But I'm not sure how other people feel about that. But you do kind of have to balance that out. You do have a responsibility to those who live next door.
Well, I think because they can lower home values and so
yes.
forth. But if you're trying to sell, you know, it can be an irritant. But
really?
Yeah, we have Neil back on the phone. I think he's
Neil.
joining us. Good morning, Neil.
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
I was calling about this herbicide issue. You know, if people weren't violating the law of God, they wouldn't have a problem wouldn't be needing the herbicide to start with, or insecticide. That's the land Sabbath. I don't know if you're familiar with that law, but every 7th year you're supposed to let the land lie fallow. Now, if you do that, what happens is, in the 7th year, when the weeds come up and they start to bloom, you plow them under. That eliminates the seed, and that adds to the fertilizer. And on the insecticide front, you know, when the insects hatch out and they come out to eat your crop, guess what? No crop there. Insects all die. So that eliminates the need for insecticide and the need for herbicide. So, you know, people got problems with herbicides and insecticides because they're violating the law of God. It says every 7th year you're required to let the land lie fallow. So I just thought I might throw that out there for people's consideration.
That's true. We do the mega farming now, you know, so we got to go crazy on it. So yeah, I agree with you.
I do too.
Right.
Thanks, Neil.
And it's greed. They want to squeeze every last bit of profit they can out of the land, and that's just not the way it's supposed to be done.
Well, they do and they don't. I mean, then we've also got land just sitting there. We're getting paid to not produce. You know, we've got some crazy stuff going on.
That's just sort of the rich and the multinational corporations.
Yep.
You know, that's a con that got passed through Congress. You know, paying off congressmen to do that.
Yep.
Right. Yep.
And it's not healthy for us.
It's not healthy.
It's not healthy for us.
It's not healthy. All right, Neil.
Thanks, Neil.
Thank you so much. We have Bill in Texas. Bill, how are you today?
Good morning, ladies.
Good morning.
An HOA is a contract. When you sign a contract with an HOA, you are signing a contract. If you don't pay attention to what's in the contract that you sign, you probably deserve to have what happens to you in your ignorance.
I agree.
The bottom line is that HOAs are the new timeshare. Everybody's getting into HOAs the way that they used to get into timeshares, and they didn't read the timeshare contracts either. If you don't read the contract you're signing, then you probably deserve to have it fall on you. Now then, contracts are something that the Constitution even speaks to. In the Constitution, you'll discover that the federal courts are given full authority to enforce contracts. Well, if that's the case, then maybe we ought to pay attention to our contracts instead of letting the federal government fall on us because we signed something we shouldn't have signed. My favorite president, Thomas Jefferson, did something which was blatantly unconstitutional in his term. He went after the Louisiana Purchase. The Louisiana Purchase, though.
I think we lost him.
I was having trouble understanding. We had a
Bill, if you're listening, it wasn't a good connection, so you might want to try back in to finish your statement. And that's what I was saying too. Before you move into these communities, you do need to read these contracts so you're not surprised. However, it has just been recent that these homeowners association has been allowed to foreclose on your home. That was a new law that has been passed. I mean, it's not that old. And I just, in some of these homeowners associations that you move into, I mean, it's ridiculous. You pay thousands, anywhere from, $5,000 a year to $20,000 a year, and it's not like you're living in a community of mansions either. So it's and then you can have some real reasonable ones that are maybe $500 or $600, and they actually mow your grass and things like that, so it's well worth it. So, to do that. So, but be very careful and always ask wherever you buy your home, because sometimes you can move into a community. Well, I think they have to disclose that anyway on the when you're purchasing the home.
my friend that I was talking about with her and her mom, it says you have to get permission, and so they laid it out just like the contract says, but then they denied them permission. And she was a little upset about that because there was already one in the neighborhood that had one, and she could probably kick up a big stink. But anyway, she followed the rules and was rejected, and that really upset her because they went to a lot of trouble to get it all drawn up and ready and show them exactly what it was going to look like and everything. And then, no, we're not going to let you do that. So, anyway, they have a beautiful home, and it is a beautiful neighborhood, but you forfeit some of your individuality, some of your property rights when you get into those contracts and get into those communities that want to regulate how things are. This was, I thought it was kind of funny. I have some things here that I thought were comical that I saw on Twitter last night. And this one I happened to see this morning, not last night. But this is when President Trump was in Korea, and he's standing there at a podium, and South Korea's president or prime minister, whatever they call him, is standing at another podium, and they're taking questions. So a question from, and I'm going to call her one of America's youngest and brainwashed. Her question to the president was gun control. Gun control laws. She's going back and talking about what happened over the weekend, last weekend. And I thought he did a great job of telling her, I'm going to answer your question, but it's not really an appropriate time for you to ask that. If you want to ask that while we're here in South Korea, I guess I'll go ahead and answer it. Kind of like a dad scolding you, Anyway, he came out and said gun control laws don't stop criminals. They never have and never will. And he said if the man that was there didn't have a gun, there would have been more carnage than what had happened. But it was the fact that she thinks that was an okay place to ask that question. Is it me? I thought it was an inappropriate place to ask a gun control question for America while you're standing there in South Korea. I'm thinking that's why I called her one of America's youngest and brainwashed, because they'll do and say anything anywhere.
And you know what? I know a story of something that happened in the church, and we have a caller, Bob in Missouri. We'll get to him right after my story. But there was they videotaped the services, and they had them on Facebook.
Oh.
And one of the gentlemen that were responsible for the video, he always carried to church. He always carried. Every Sunday he'd go to church. That was his job. He always carried a pistol with him. But that Sunday, last Sunday, his wife wasn't feeling well. And so she stayed home, and he gave her the pistol.
I did hear that story. So he was not armed.
So that one particular day he was not armed, but normally, and he said that I could have stopped him from doing the amount of damage that he did. He says when he came in, the only thing he could do was take cover, and but yeah, and so we question lots of things. It's and you hear these stories about people that didn't go to church that day. They were ill, they were sick, but it's so we
and they heard some stories of one of the survivors, and she was telling what he did. He made everybody get on the ground, and then he just went by and he started killing them all, and some of them laid over their children trying to protect them. And I'm just thinking of the horror that went through their hearts and their minds as they're trying to protect one another. And she grabbed the hand of one that was when they were about to be shot. And she survived for some reason. And she took her hand. She says, "It's going to be okay. You're going to be with Jesus soon." And it's just horrendous when you hear the stories of what they went through and how they're going to deal with this the rest of their lives. And
yes. We have Bob in Missouri calling us this morning. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Bob. How are you?
Good. Just what you're just relating there. It makes you wonder, why don't they all just charge this guy? You know, you're going to get shot anyway. If you come to that realization, this guy's going to shoot you. Hey, I'm not going to make it easy. Okay, I'll do whatever I can to get him and get that gun into his face and put those bullets in his head. I'm not going to lay down and be a sheep and get shot. You know, I don't know what takes place with people, but that's insane. You know, it's hard to believe that could happen.
Well,
but what I was calling, go ahead.
He has the element of surprise.
I know, but still, you know, how long does it take you to shoot that many people?
Okay, let me finish what I was saying. I had the sheriff of my county in, and we were talking about that. Anything you do to throw them off is what you need to do. And, of course, they weren't thinking of that sitting in church, and he comes in from behind shooting. He's already shot into the church. And then he tells them all to get down. And so nobody was thinking defensively, and a lot of them were children and elderly, and, but you're right. I thought, in fact, I told the sheriff when I had him on CSC Talk Radio a couple of days ago, I told him, the thought went through my mind when that Colorado shooter in the theater took place, why didn't they all just throw shoes at him? Just take your shoes off and bombard the guy. And, of course, it would be hard to get the little committee together to say, let's all throw our shoes really quick.
Right.
But, you've got to throw them off guard. But that's the thing is, he's already got everybody else off guard. And somebody has to have, I don't know, to come together. You have to come together in your mind and make a plan. But, you're right. I mean, could they have done anything? It's a little late to say
anything,
that.
Anything would be something, okay?
Right,
Rather
right. And you don't know, they might have. Somebody might have.
I don't know, they might have. Who knows? I'm just saying, I hope, hope people weren't, they've been dumbed down so much that they have no self-preservation. Here's what I want to talk about in terms of self-preservation is Monsanto.
Okay.
By the way, I used to live within a mile
of Monsanto. Okay.
I used to live within a mile of their main headquarters here in St. Louis.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's an act of war, If a country, there's many ways you can do. You don't have to drop bombs on people or shoot bullets at them, okay? The easiest way is to poison them. And you look at everything they've done in terms of their seeds. What do they call the Terminator seeds? That you have to buy their seeds every year because otherwise you're not going to have any crops because they're not reproducible. So if you want to starve, if you want to get a country under control, naturally, you control their food supply, okay? Number one. That's the easiest way for these, for someone to control your country is just that one thing right there. But on top of that, they got these herbicides. And, they talk about our health care in this country. Really, it's like saying, we got a great country because we got more prisons than any place. No, you got a more sicker country. We got 1 out of 2 people getting cancer in this country now. Why? It's because the food they eat. You can all have all these ribbons and these women walking around their little rallies, having their little social gatherings. That's not going to do one thing for especially breast cancer. It's the food is what you take in. And until the people, the doctors, they say best health care. Oh, yeah, we got some radiation here or something to give you. It's totally turned upside down. Your health is produced by what you eat and not by some doctor giving you some pill which is going to kill you anyway, some radiation or whatever it is.
Well, and I think
so the whole thing has to be turned. The whole thing's got to be turned on its head because we're at war. We're at war right now.
The thing is, with Monsanto, it's also the company that created Agent Orange.
Yeah.
So we have to kind of remember that. And I know most of us have somebody that was in Vietnam that has been affected by Agent Orange. And it's an ugly, ugly thing that it has done to the body and poisoned it. And, we think things are progress and they're not. We find out later that they're harming us. They're not helping. So anyway, you're right, Bob. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
For the call. Thank you.
And, when you go back and you look at who's on some of these, the board of directors on Monsanto and so forth, there is one. I don't know. Is Sara Lee still a product? Do they still? Is it
I'm not sure. Sara Lee? I'm not sure.
No. So, you have, McDonald's, Procter & Gamble. All these people, they're all the multinational corporations. They're all in it for the money. And every one of them probably doesn't do our health very, is very good for our health. And he's right. It is an act of war. They are controlling our food. They're controlling our food supply, and government is controlling our monetary system. So you control the monetary system. They don't need to write laws, and they don't need to follow the laws because they do control us.
And I think it's important for consumers to realize that these aren't just topics for farmers and ranchers and producers. These topics affect you. You, as the consumer, you need to know it's your product. You're the one buying the product. You're the one eating the product. So it does matter to you what Monsanto is doing to the farmers and the ranchers. It does matter to you what the EPA or the BLM and all of those are doing to the farmers and the ranchers, or the USDA, Uncle Sam destroying agriculture. It does matter to you as the consumer. You cannot say, well, that's not my problem, because it is your problem. You're the one buying the food. You're the one doing that and eating the food. It affects every one of us in this nation. And, I can't get that across enough. I know CSC Talk Radio is an advocate for rural America, but I believe rural America is the foundation of all America. And if we lose rural America, we've lost America, because they are the producers, and it's being taken over by corporate agriculture. Look at the USDA. Look at the farm bills. They're about redistributing the wealth, or the food. It's not about building something up or guarding the farmers at all anymore. It's just crazy what we've done. And the farmers, they have to have subsidies because the markets are all fixed. So they have to have subsidies to survive, and that's wrong. And it's just a fact of life these days, and it shouldn't be. Sorry, I just got on my soapbox. I apologize, but
you may be on your box.
Okay. Well, we're going into the break. Oh my goodness.
We're on a break.
Yeah, I did get on a soapbox. Sorry about that. We're going into break. Your calls are welcome at 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning, and we will be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host, Melody Cedarstrom, right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit DiscountGoldandSilverTrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, 1-800-375-4188. The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on Internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the Internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. we're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening. Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
And you're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning. We've had a good show. We get all excited when we have callers. We do. We really get excited about it. Now, I said I wanted to share some funny things. If you'll give me just a second.
Yes, because I want to share my funny thing. So go ahead.
First?
No. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, these were on Twitter, and it happened to be James Woods that last night. He was just cracking me up, and there was a liberal that tweeted, and I don't have that one in front of me, but they tweeted that their first grade nephew told his little sister that if you wear your shoes that have the lights up, that the shooters will come and shoot you first. It was something to that effect. I couldn't find it to do it verbatim. So it was obviously being put out by a liberal that was fighting for gun control. You know, can't even have the lighted up shoes on your children. Kind of like that ad they had in Virginia where somebody was trying to run them over with a truck. I mean, they're using kids. So James Woods tweets back, "That's odd. My first grade nephew told his little sister to be aware of concocted tales by Democrats pushing a narrative. We bought both of them light-up shoes for being so smart." And then Kathy Griffin. Ugh. She just won't go away. And he was tweeting about her, too. And he said it's apparent Kathy Griffin apparently is so dumb she didn't know real beheadings had taken place until after Rosie O'Donnell choked her. And he said, James Woods says, that was somebody else's tweet, and they had a video of her being interviewed. And she's cut her hair real short, shorter than most men even. And James Woods says, "I don't know which barnacle is more embarrassing, she or Hillary Clinton. Why can't they fade away with at least the tiniest shred of dignity?" They just won't go away.
Well, they never had any dignity.
Well, that is for sure and for certain, yes, because but she didn't know anything about it till Rosie O'Donnell told her about it.
Well, you know what I find interesting is it really does seem that everyone is beginning to dump on Hillary. They certainly are distancing themselves from her. And, just from various news stations and so forth, you have all these liberals, that are looking to run for office. And, they're saying, oh, well, it's, we should have done this, we should have done that. And, of course, it's all in negative reviews of Hillary Clinton. So, it's maybe she will go away finally. Unfortunately, she's not going to go where she should go, but maybe ultimately she will go where she deserves.
Don't burst my bubble, because I have her in this brand new pantsuit that's got orange and black stripes.
I'm happy to. Well, I'd like to think where she will eventually end up for eternity. So, here's
that we shouldn't rejoice in. But yes, that's true. She doesn't change her ways.
If she doesn't change her ways, D.C. Council. They're taking now. Let me set the stage here. They want to take down a picture of George Washington in a church. They want to pull down all types of Confederate statues. They want to pull down Christopher Columbus statue. They want to pull down, all these, the founding fathers, the people who have, made this country, involved in this country. They threw paint on. Who'd they throw paint on? Lincoln. It's just crazy things. So D.C. Council is taking steps to place a statue of Marion Barry. Okay, in front.
Oh, good grief.
In front of the Wilson building. And I'm thinking to myself, are you really kidding me? That this is even
drug rehab?
A thought? Yeah. Yeah. It's just like, are you kidding me? Are people that whacked out?
Apparently they are. What was it we were talking about yesterday on CSC Talk Radio about living in the city?
Very drug addict and, hired prostitutes. And,
and he got reelected.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, gracious. Well, going back to the Donna Brazile, and she is claiming the Clinton campaign was a cult. Well, I have no trouble believing that. They were all going to get her elected one way or another, and that's why they're all in shock. They can't believe they put all this effort into this, lied this many times, covered up this much corruption, and paid bukus of dollars, and she still didn't get elected. They can't figure that out. But bless her heart, Donna Brazile, she says Jake Tapper betrayed me after the debate questioning controversy. And Judge Janine tweeted out, Donna, Jake Tapper betrayed you? How about all the people you betrayed? They don't stop and think, and they don't really care how many people they betrayed in the Democrat Party that really wanted Bernie Sanders, which I'm glad Bernie didn't get elected. But the American people have been deceived, for years have been deceived, and I hope that they're waking up, not just to the corruption in the Democrat Party, but to the corruption that's also in the Republican Party. I don't know which one's worse. At least the Democrats out and admit they're socialist, but the Republicans, they have their suit and ties on, and they pretend that they're all about being conservative. But we can't seem to get Obamacare repealed. We can't seem to get a fair tax deal. We can't seem to get anything accomplished because they're too busy obstructing the president. And I'm talking about a lot of them. So last night I saw some of them. They were thinking that good old Mitch McConnell ought to be resigning soon. But I don't see that he's going to do it. Do you?
No.
I don't think he's going to. They're doing exactly what they want to do.
Absolutely. I'm going to change the story a little bit. There's a program that pairs service dogs with veterans.
Oh, yeah.
They booted that program from Fort Belvoir and Walter Reed. It's a program that prepares service dogs for permanent placements with wounded veterans and their families. It's been booted without an explanation. It's called the Warrior Canine Connection. They use an army of volunteer puppy raisers, dog trainers, and veterans to prepare service dogs for the wounded veterans. This program has been going on since 2009, and suddenly, and even without an explanation, that came to a stop. He said he was training puppies, and he's got a stop work order. He said he received a phone call saying there was a stop work order. There was no explanation whatsoever as to why that was the decision. Asked if there had been an issue with the program, problems with the staff, or an incident at either of the military sites. The guy said he hasn't heard anything. He says they're trying to get answers, and why all of a sudden would a program? Now, if a dog had bitten someone, or if there had been an incident, then maybe you could understand, perhaps why the program would be pulled. But then again, so it was a good little program. He says there's no question that this program saves lives. And
it's amazing. The canines do so much for us.
They do so much.
The sheriff here in town, he uses canine, and we've got a second one now. We have a drug problem in this area, in this county. He's the county sheriff, not the town sheriff. And he just took over the office of sheriff. He's been in law enforcement for many, many years, but he just took over the sheriff department here in January. He was elected, and it is just unreal what he's doing. He's just really cleaning up Dodge, so to speak, but it is a messy, messy Dodge. You talk about, small town USA, but it's not exempt from corruption, and we have a lot of drug trafficking and that goes on even in small town USA, in rural America.
Well, that's how
he's doing an awful lot to clean it up, and so we pray for his safety every day, because I know it's getting to be kind of tough, because he is cleaning up Dodge pretty good. So.
When I lived in Arizona, the last part of the time I was there, we lived in a town called Prescott. It was north of Phoenix, and there's a lot of little communities, and this was mid-'90s, early '90s, and a lot of these drug dealers went to these little towns because no one would bother them, and they set up their labs, and it was part of their distribution centers to a lot of these small communities, and it just really destroyed so many of them.
Yes, and the lives here are just, I hear music. We are out of time again today.
Another topic, another day.
Yeah, tomorrow's Friday. Are we going to do Open Mic Friday?
Absolutely.
Should I not ask in front of people? In front of the children? We're out of time today. We will have Open Mic Friday tomorrow, and we appreciate all that you do, and we thank you. And relying on Power Talks every day. Thank you, Melody.
Thank you.
Visit crosstheborder.org, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a re-established Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today, so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.